So Brian, welcome to Sharks TV. You've been involved with hockey for many years now. Can you tell us a wee bit about how it all started and the things that you've done, please?
Sure, it must have been about 26 years ago plus maybe. My youngest son Ross, he got a couple of free tickets for the school that he was at and to go and watch a game. And he pestered me for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I kept saying no, and I thought, all right, come on, let's go. Stop him from morning. Unknown to me then, but it was the Dumfries Border Vikings against Manchester Storm, and that was the seamless game has been legendary. You know, they still talk about it to this day. So we went in there, and the place was full. It was every seat was taken. There was 4 and 5 deep around the plexi, and I thought, that's it. We're coming back next week. So we went for a few weeks, and then Ross decided he was going to take up the sport. You know, I knew it was expensive. So as a family, we spoke about it, and we said, right, okay, let's go. If it keeps him off the streets and away from getting into bother, why not? So Ross started, and then I don't know, maybe just less than a year later, his big brother decided that he would want to play hockey as well. So we two them out, and eventually Scott became a netminder, which is rather expensive. Expensive stuff. And then my wife got involved, and once you go into juniors, you get asked to do, can you do this for me and do that for me? And it just mushroomed from there, like, you know. I've been there ever since, you know. I went to Sandra Egg, asked me to come and help at the seniors. By this time it was Solly Sharks. And if I wasn't doing juniors, I was doing seniors. So I've done most jobs, apart from play and coach. I think I've done everything else.
So what did you enjoy the most? What job?
I like doing, well, actually watching, going away games, but that's easier on me. But when the home games, I'm most of the time a scorer. It's become a wee bit more elaborate these last few years. We've been online. It's easier, to be fair, it's easier done online, I think it is. But when obviously Sharks play SNL, so it's back to pen and paper, just the old style, and it's two complete different systems. Absolutely two complete different. But scorer, I'm usually in about an hour and a half before the game starts. So I like to get the top up, make sure it's on Wi-Fi. Then you've got to go and talk to the managers or the coaches and get the game sheets. Now, some teams preload their players on that day, but you've still got to go and check that there's not been any changes and they're wearing the right, you know, the shirt numbers, and the captains and the assists are right and the goalies are right, you know. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of times that you have to go to change things, or somebody will say, oh, you know, Joe Bloggs has left his number 5 shirt at home, he's now wearing number 20, can he change it? So you've got to go and do that, like, you know. And then the referees and the linesmen have got to see this sheet, the paper sheet, minimum half an hour before the game, because they need to see that they've got the minimum amount of players required, that the coaching staff's got the proper certificates to run a bench, you know, and they've got to take notes of the imports if there's any, because obviously, you know, with the rules and they change now and again, we've got to make sure that the two imports are not at the same time. So there's usually a lot of numbers being written in the back of their hands just to make sure, you know. So, and then running the game's easy, but I would think if I try and get it in early and get it done, so that everyone's all ready to press start and ready to go, and I go and get a coffee or something before the game starts.
That sounds great. And you've done international stuff as well, I believe.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. Well, obviously with the World Championships being in Dumfries, there's more than one scorer. There's a whole squad of us. Well, Mo Muir does it as well, and a guy from here called Tommy Smith, he does it as well. And so we do that. But we've been away. I think it was 2017. The whole squad for Dumfries went across to Belfast for 8 days. I was scorer. The rest were doing the stats, which is it's pretty. You can't take your eye off the puck. You know, you've got to be on it all the time. And so I did 10 out of the 15 games, which was really good. And I've also done the Champions Hockey League. I did the first 2 games in Britain, in Nottingham. And I was kind of hooked into that. I was kind of tricked into that job. But anyway, we'll not go into that. But I went down there, and they played a couple of Scandinavian teams, one on the Friday night, one on the Sunday. Don't ask me to pronounce their names because I couldn't, and I don't even remember what they were called anyway. But I can say that I got my eyes opened with what happens behind the scenes. You know, yeah, we see the Solway Sharks and all that, and we see the World Championships and all these. But when you go and watch these big teams, like it's like night and day, night and day. You know, they bring all their own physios, people to cut their blades. You know, they bring two in case one does probably D's and one does forwards and all, but there's two of them. There's probably more backroom staff than there is playing the ice hockey. And it was tremendous. I mean, honestly, I really got my eyes opened. Yeah, and I'm not taking nothing away from Nottingham Panthers, but these teams are in their own league. Like, they're way above anything that's in the UK, you know, at that time. It's just that they were tremendous. I mean, Panthers never won a game, but you know, it was fairly close. But when you see that and you think, boy, that's different being right on the front watching that, you know.
Yeah, it must be a big jump. So, I mean, Champions League hockey, that must be just awesome. But has there been any standout games or moments that you maybe want to share with us as well?
Yeah, well, obviously we've been it for so many years. There's quite a few. The standout game was a couple of years ago when the Sharks got into the playoff finals in Sheffield. And Martin was away on GB duty, and my son Scott took the bench. And it was, I think it was Solihull. We got in the semis, and we were getting beat by a goal just near the end of the third period, you know. And he pulled his netminder, and you know, being my son and that, I think, oh no, I hope he's done the right thing. But he did. We got the equaliser. We won in overtime, and then we beat I think it was I don't know who we beat. I think it was Stars in the final. So that was really, really good. I enjoyed that. Yeah.
That was the year we won the treble, wasn't
obviously
it?
Being in Belfast. Yeah, I think that was the second time we went. Yeah, that was really good game. That I think being in Belfast for the week was really good. You know, watching international teams, the top players. You know, it was quite good. Yeah.
Brilliant. What about any controversy that you've been involved with? Because obviously, as you say, the game's going at a pace. You've got to keep your eye on the puck all the time, particularly for stats and such like timekeeping and all that as well. What about any controversy? You've been involved in any?
Oh yes, quite a few. I think the biggest one was again a few years ago. We had the playoff finals in Dumfries, and we were in the final with Blackburn Hawks. In the first period, there was a line clearance, and the referee came up, and we had people on either side, you know, and they were wanting to kill each other. They're hammering on the plexiglass with their sticks. The crowd were going daft. The referee was trying to tell us what the penalties were, and you know, the hole's that size on the plexi, just enough to get a puck through, and you can't hear a thing when you're in there, you know. So he was shouting out who was getting penalties by their nicknames. Well, I don't know who their nicknames is for the opposite team. So, and I was getting frustrated, and there were, you know, 4 or 5 in. So I thought, that's it, stop the game. And I went out the box, and I went up to the door at the end, and opened the door, and I got the referee down, and we got it all sorted out. So I actually stopped the game to do that.
Wow.
And then, so we went back in, got it sorted, drop of the puck, a second line clearance, you know, so I had more in. So that was a bit hectic. But we got that done. I went to see him at the end of the first, and he says, "Look, stop shouting nicknames, shirt numbers I want, that we want." You know, but thankfully, Spacey Muirhead was on clock, and then Mo Muir giving me a hand on the stats, because it took the 3 of us to work at it. Because obviously he gives you the penalties, and he goes and just starts the game. But we've got to try and, you know, work out who's in, who's out, do that. And you know, 2 minutes isn't a long time, so it was a bit hectic, but we got there. We've done it. There's been a few more, but I think that's been the worst one I've
had. Brilliant. I mean, you must have seen a few really exciting games in your time as well. I mean, obviously there was even a few last season, but nothing as exciting as Scotty getting a goal against the Racers, 4 seconds to go, or Gappa putting an overtime winner in against the Warriors. But what about some of the exciting games you've seen?
There's been quite a lot. As I said, I think winning the treble twice was really good. You know, you got in there and the boys are going up the 1 and then the 2, then the 3 and then the photographs and there's been some good ones. I mean, if you go back to Belfast when GB beat Japan, you know, to go up into the next level, like, I think that was really good because you've got to be neutral in the box. You're not like we shouting, batting the plexi and score like that. So, I mean, I was in with the Belfast guys, but we're all rooting for GB. And so when they got the winner, you know, in the final hooter went, we're all going, yes, yeah, get him. But we had to do it just politely and just blow the scenes, if you see what I mean, you know.
Keep it professional.
I think that was a really good one. I be professional, yeah. Absolutely. That's a good word.
What about any
we
games?
Would call it something else, but
I was going to say, Brian, what about any games you'd rather forget? It was a nightmare out there, and you just thought, never again.
Yeah, well, there's that Blackburn Hawks one I just talked about, you know, but obviously, you know, you were at this one. The last game, well, one of the last games last season against Whitler Warriors.
Yeah.
That was an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the Hawks game, I scored 169 penalty minutes, and that's been my record up until the Warriors game, which I think it was 173. Yeah. That's one of the games where I thought, what am I doing here? I should really just stay at home and watch the telly.
Yeah,
and again, I had the two girls, Tracy and Moen, and we never saw the game because our heads were in paper trying to work out penalties and when they go out and stuff like that, you know. And I suppose that's the most recent one I would like to forget.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. There was 5 in the penalty box at one time, and it was a very strange game. Very strange game. So I'm just about to finish. Oh, sorry, Brian. I was just saying just about to finish. But what about any songs that you would like to hear at the Shark Tank? Everybody I've interviewed so far, I've said, what tunes do you want Craigie to play? But no rubbish mind, just decent songs.
Well, I know you said no rubbish, but this is a big but. I used to play this tune a long time ago, and a lot of rinks used to play it, and it's spectator participation. So if Craigie's listening, if he's watching this, you have to play the Birdie song by the Tweets, because it gets everybody up, you know, the clapping and going like this, and no, you're saying no. They can't see you, but you're shaking your head.
I'm definitely shaking my head at that. Oh dear. I'll see if Craigie can play it for you, but you know, obviously you're going to get the blame for the Birdie dance.
Obviously.
He'll probably play it when we play the Hawks.
Well, aye. That's a really good one. If we were playing them,
that would work.
But it really gets the spectators up. No, I've seen them. Everybody gets up and starts clapping and doing the actions like, so it's quite good.
Yeah, I think it'll be just as good.
So that's my choice, I'm afraid.
All right, that's your choice. I think it's going to be a good idea. You're going to be behind Plexi when that's played. So, I mean, just to say thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us in Sharks TV, Brian. It's really appreciated. I've really enjoyed chatting to you. Have you any final words of wisdom to any of the fans or players that are watching this, perhaps?
Yeah, I think it's got to be well before we're on the ice, to be honest with you. You know, COVID's hit us again and different strain. And to be honest, I really can't see it clear and play any sport this year. I mean, I'm into motorcycle racing as well, you know. And they've even cancelled TT next year already. Cancelled it months ago because they know that they can't run it and organise it between then. And but I can't see ice hockey being played this. We're going to have to scrap it and just, you know, it'll be, well, next year. And even then, when we do get there, you know, let's get the big crowds in. Let's support the boys, because, I mean, the boys are, you know, they're on the ice all the time. They put a lot of effort in with training and travelling, you know, getting in, you know, early in the hours of the morning and going to their work. You know, you've got to support them, you know. So once we get started, come and support us all with Sharks.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you once again, Brian, for your time. And we look forward to seeing you again sometime soon, hopefully, at the Shark Tank. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, no problem. Cheers now. Thanks, Andrew.